It's good morning and welcome to Miners Easy Sunday, where we hang out with the biggest stars in the industry. And this morning, we're hanging out with none other than Boyz II Men. From having no water or heat in their childhood homes to having the longest running #1 hit single in music history, Boyz II Men brought New Jack Swing to the classic Philly sound. Through the heights of success and the lows of losing a close friend, the group worked hard to keep their egos and integrity in check. But troubles with their label and a rapidly changing musical climate would leave Boyz II Men faced with their greatest challenge, climbing back to the top. They were not always called Boyz II Men, because by the time they were ready to enter high school, each of the boys came to a life-changing conclusion that the only way they would succeed was if they found a supportive environment where they could hone their talents, and their salvation came in the form of Philadelphia's High School for Creative and Performing Arts, calling themselves Unique Attraction. It all started with Nate and his best friend Mark Nelson, who had come to the school with dreams of forming a group like the ones they had remembered from the street corners of their childhood. Calling themselves Unique Attraction, Nate and Mark enlisted the help of revolving student lineups, and when Wanye joined as a freshman, he became the first permanent member alongside the two founders. Sean was quickly added on after he was heard performing a solo in the school choir, and by now Unique Attraction was becoming something the school loved. Anxious to be the 5th official member, Mike began following the group around school, attempting to impress them with his deep bass vocals. And after an impromptu performance in the boys' restroom, yes, the toilet, the others caved in and welcomed Mike McCary to the fold. Listen to how their journey began.
You want to know how we got started? Okay, check this out. Back in '88, fall of '88, Performing Arts, Creative and Performing Arts in South Philadelphia, where we are now at Geno States, you know what I'm saying? It's like a vision of Nate's to form a group.
I take on more of the, I guess you would say, big brother aspect of the group, being that I was the founder of the group and I put everybody and everything together.
Once the final result came with us, Michael, Wanye came in first.
Yeah, I was with the original group, Unique Attraction. With one of the original groups, Unique Attraction.
Yeah.
And when
it was called Unique Attraction back then.
When they went away, Nate put Sean, my man Sean, in the group.
I had no intentions of being in any kind of group. I was just in the high school, to have fun and to sing, because that's what I love to do. But Nate, I guess, saw something different.
Mike snuck in the group one day in the bathroom while we were harmonizing. He put in a bass note that sounded fly.
What's embedded in me is music. Music's embedded in me. I always like being in front of the camera and in front of the spotlight, but not in front of a lot of people. So I know that's confusing. It's like, once I'm on stage, I'm a different person. I can just go out there and perform in front of millions, but if you told me to perform in front of one, I couldn't do it.
So he followed us around and kept singing the note and singing it. Yeah, one note, snuck in the group.
A lot of things that we think about, usually I wind up, I guess you say, stirring it up. But I mean, sometimes that's good and then sometimes that's bad. But I guess I'm perceived as a bad guy because I'm always the one saying, well, you should think about this. Now, what if we did so forth and so on? And it might not be agreeing to what, somebody else wanted us to do. And then that's how they get that bad guy image.
And actually, it's funny because, we were group members before we were actual friends. Because, at first, man, we argued every day. If it wasn't about little trivial things and girls and all this other stuff, it was about something else.
We all have our different vibes. And we all play a big part in the Boyz II Men success and the Boyz II Men identity and the Boyz II Men image. And sometimes I feel like I play too much, but it doesn't matter, you know what I'm saying? Because can't nobody beat me. No.
But like during the course, of everything, we became closer, and now we're the best of friends. How about that?
Brothers.
Yeah. We still argue though.
We're hanging out with Boyz II Men. So, how did they actually get their manager and their new name? When Belle Biv DeVoe held a concert in Philadelphia in 1989, they did not wait for opportunity to knock twice. They sneaked backstage and they located their BBD member Michael Bivins and performed an a cappella version of New Edition's Can You Stand the Rain before a crowd that included Will Smith and Paula Abdul. Bivins was so impressed by the group's raw talent that he contacted them a few weeks later and quickly signed them on as their manager. But two things had to take place before the boys could evolve from high school talent shows to R&B superstars. The first was the much-needed name change. Now, it's very, very scanty as to who's responsible for the switch in their name, but the group eventually settled on Boyz II Men, which was actually taken from a similarly titled song by New Edition. The second major change was the departure of Mark Nelson. Nelson actually had never quite gelled with the other members of Unique Attraction, and it soon became apparent that his growing animosity was in danger of destroying the group. So, with visions of solo success in his head, Mark left Boyz II Men. That was to be the biggest mistake he ever made, because he later on formed the vocal group As Yet, which was widely considered as a second-rate Boyz II Men. For the next year, Michael Bivins worked on his new proteges, developing a retro sound that would change the face of the early 90s R&B. He created the Alex Vanderpool style of preppy sweaters and ties based on a character from the soap opera All My Children. But unlike the popular boy bands of today, the boys proved to Bivins that they were more than just voices by co-writing 7 of the 10 tracks on the album. On April the 30th, 1991, Coolie High Harmony was released on Motown Records. It entered the Billboard Hot 200 at number 58, eventually peaking at number 3. And the first single, Motown Philly, was an instant hit and a perfect introduction to Boyz II Men. But what was it all about? Listen to them continue their story.
This is the style of dress that we tagged it as the Alex Vanderpool.
Yes, and it's something that was brought together by Biv and a couple of his friends. He brought it to us while we were mastering our album.
Yeah,
we were not with it at all. We were like, what? Are you kidding?
Yeah, well,
this is not going to work.
Yeah, because actually, the Alex Vanderpool was not the way it actually looked when it was first presented to the world. It was some other vibe that we had to like alter.
And the funny thing is,
hold on. And they let me go shopping.
Yeah.
We was walking down Sunset shopping.
Hold on. Biv told us to get some clothes.
Right. He told us to go to the store.
It didn't matter.
He told us to look. He told us to go to the store and get some gear. He said it didn't have to match. We went to the store, got dressed. And we all walked down to the Pink Dot to get a sandwich and notice all these cars like slowing down. And Sean was like, yo man, look at all the people looking at it and watching.
That means we're different.
What do you say?
That means we're different. That was the first look, but we had to change that because we didn't want to be, we didn't want to get laughed at when we were on stage or, we were in, videos and things.
So Mike had the right avenue.
Match.
We just all put it together and spiced it up.
Yeah, and why is it called Alex Vanderpool? Why don't you tell him Alex Vanderpool?
Well, this is another Biv story. When he came up with the idea of the Alex Vanderpool image, he took it from a character on a soap opera named Alex Vanderpool. He dressed basically the same way we do, the Ivy League, collegiate type look with the, khakis and the jeans and the loafers and the ballies and that type vibe. And what we did was we took Alex Vanderpool and just built sub-characters around it, slim, bass, squirt, that type stuff. And we just rolled with it and took on to it, and we ain't letting it go, basically.
The name Boyz II Men came about. Well, actually, I wasn't there, but the rumor has it, Sean and Nate were on the phone. They were talking about a name for our group. The song Boyz II Men came on the radio, if I'm correct, and Sean yelled out Boyz II Men. And Nate was kind of hesitant about it because we sang all the New Edition tunes. And it was kind of like, you didn't want it to be like, this is Boyz II Men singing Can You Stand the Rain or by New Edition, you know what I'm saying? And he took it to Biv, and Biv didn't like it at first. Did he like it?
We met Biv. If y'all want, Michael Bivins is the person who brought us to Motown. He's the one who discovered us, and he's the man that is behind our initial success as far as presenting us to the world. We met Biv 6 months after this group was formed, this actual group was formed, and we had the name before we met Biv. And when we told him the name, he was kind of like, that's cool, that's cool.
That's what it is, Well, let me see what the rest of the group on shot.
Yeah, so it was like, we had it before we met them because, we just dug the name.
Welcome to Miners Easy Sunday, where we are hanging out this morning with the amazing and hugely talented Boyz II Men. So, fast forward to 1993, they returned to the studio to record their follow-up album. And this time, they moved their production to California as their popularity made it increasingly difficult to work in Philly. Now, shaken by the extreme highs and lows of 92, Boyz II Men avoided a sophomore slump with an album that reflected their newfound maturity. It was called 2, and it hit the charts in 1994, debuting at #1 on the Billboard Top 200. The first single, I'll Make Love to You, actually tied Whitney Houston's record, but was eventually dethroned by Brandy's single, I Wanna Be Down. Always humble, Wanya Morris gave Brandy a call to congratulate her, and the two would eventually begin dating, sparking rumors of a marriage, but they later broke up, but they remain good friends up until today. Other chart-topping songs from the album 2 followed, including On Bended Knee, Thank You, and Water Runs Dry. 2 was hailed by critics as one of the best albums in 1993 and earned Boyz II Men 2 more Grammys, plus 1 to Babyface for writing I'll Make Love to You. In 95, Boyz II Men finally reclaimed their record with the single One Sweet Day with Mariah Carey. The song stayed at #1 for an incredible 16 weeks. In late 1995, the relationship between Motown Records and Boyz II Men began to crumble. Motown had gone behind their backs and released the remix collection in an effort to capitalize on 2's phenomenal success. Boyz II Men felt betrayed by their parent company, and in 1996 they established their own label, Stone Creek Recordings, a division of Sony.
I think that everybody in the room felt the songs the same way, no matter how old you were, what time period you were, where you lived, it didn't matter, which is why we were able to all, come to a very, decisive conclusion about what songs should be on the record. And I think they're all just feel. I mean, we didn't really think about who wrote it. You know what I'm saying? We didn't think about who produced it. It's weird because like Sean said, today that's what people look at. You know what I'm saying? Well, this guy did this or this guy wrote that and get one of his songs. Our thing was on sheer feel. As soon as you say the title of the record, bang, everybody just start taking the time travel back to where they were when they were hearing that record.
Musicians, they were like really feeling it. You understand? They had the method for putting it all together, and I watched each song come from a piano player just playing the chords to now at the end of the day putting the horns on it, and it just felt like it was the right thing. It feels like it was the right thing to do. It took everyone back to the essence of music, and in all actuality, and I bet I can speak for my fellas when I say I don't ever want to do another album anything other than that way.
That human element added to a song makes the song feel fresher. So when Nate does something, it inspires me to do something, which inspires him to do something. So it just kind of makes the song go from here to there.
We went in and tried to record them with the same idea and the same focus, the same intensity to give, what the songs were supposed to be then. And it's just ironic that both of those songs today are prevalent just as much as they were back then. We're just trying to give people an indication that everything that we have today started from what we're doing on this record. These people, these artists, these record company heads, these people who took this music thing as a lifestyle and not just a job. You know what I'm saying? And, Barry Gordy was one of those pioneers who, he did everything in his power to keep Motown clean, simple, and great. And what we want to try to do with this album is bring the same thing back and let a lot of artists and a lot of people know today that no matter what you do, this is where it starts. And all that it has to offer. We've had encounters with a lot of these artists before this record. So now, after they hear it, we kind of want to... It's different when you sing your own music and then they like what you do and you like what they do. But when you sing their stuff, now I want to be like, well, all right, Smokey, what you think? You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. Now, that may be a little different conversation. You know what I'm saying?
What a morning we're having hanging out with Boyz II Men. So, fast forward to 1999. They signed with Universal Records to release their next album titled Nathan, Michael, Sean and Wanye. The title signified a new beginning for Boyz II Men, one where they take complete control of their career. Nathan, Michael, Sean and Wanye was released in 2000 and debuted at number 4. But 3 weeks later, it had completely vanished from the charts. 2001's Legacy, the greatest hits collection, spent only 1 week in the charts, which was at number 89. And the era of the Motown Philly sound appeared to be over. But in 2000, the boys went back to work with an old friend, Babyface, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis as well, in an effort to regain their past glory. Having left Universal for Arista, Boyz II Men are still optimistic about their future. They say, and I quote, "We're at the point right now where we know we can only go up. The slate is clean and it feels great."
We didn't have any expectations before our first hit. I mean, we just wanted to sing because it was fun. We always focused more on making sure our vocals were correct and our routines were right and just trying to be the best that we could be. That at the time the success was happening, we really didn't pay it much mind.
There was people in the audience that we could never have imagined sitting next to the Mariah Careys, the Whitney Houstons, and I just was like, wow, I just want them to see us and consider us one of them. We wanted to be a part of the club, and we won. And I felt like, yeah, now we can sit next to them and say, you know, Grammy Award winning. It was just an awesome thing, yeah.
We've been hanging out with Boyz II Men all morning long. Well, all's well that ends well. But unfortunately, it was a bit of a tragedy for one of Boyz II Men's members, Michael McCary, because he had to leave the group suffering from multiple sclerosis. The one thing no one knows is that Michael didn't tell anyone that he had MS. And he gives his advice to upcoming groups and what they have learned so far. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with Boyz II Men on Miners Easy Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you tomorrow.
Who's missing?
Michael.
That's
Michael, the guy on the left.
What happened to Michael?
Michael actually left the group probably about 11, 12 years ago now.
Why?
Well, he didn't, I guess he didn't want to be involved or do it anymore. We actually tried to reach out for him for our 20th anniversary to bring him in and have him, perform with the new album, but things didn't kind of work out, so.
Do you keep in touch with your friends, or?
Occasionally.
Yeah, we try to keep in touch occasionally. I don't think our friendship is as strong as it used to be.
Does he still live in Philly?
He's here in Los Angeles, I think.
Yeah.
How did it affect the singing when you went from 4 to 3?
You know what's weird?
The harmony?
A lot of people don't understand that a lot of what Mike did was more of a mimicking mechanism from what Nate would already arrange. When we would go in and sing background parts, Nathan would actually lay his parts down, and then Mike would go in and kind of copy it, and that type of thing. So he is also kind of a bass baritone, so he can sing bass.
Like the Fourth Mills Brothers?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah, exactly.
One guy just did...
Yeah, exactly. So
they were a great group.
Yeah, they were. They actually were. So when it comes down to harmony, we still have it locked in. It's like... Yeah,
so it didn't affect you at all?
No.
I mean, it actually, the foundation...
the look, maybe, yeah. But the sound, no.
Yeah, we actually...
Did you think of looking for someone else to add a 4th member?
We talked about it for a while. We actually entertained it, and we asked our fans about it, and they were like, they didn't really want to warm up to a new person. I mean, a lot of times, groups of old expectations who put so many people in, after a time, you don't even know who's in the group unless you know the original group. So our fans were like, we'd rather just have the 3 that we know and we've known for all these years versus bringing somebody else in.
For Michael, it was the secrecy of the disease that proved the most dangerous. He has never discussed his MS publicly before, not even with his brothers in Boyz II Men. When were you diagnosed? How old were you?
28 when I was diagnosed.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when did you get divorced?
7 years ago.
After the MS?
After all that. Actually, she didn't even know. Like, I never told my family members the diagnosis, anything. Really? I was married for 14 years.
And never told your wife?
Never told my wife.
Michael, what is that about? You're sleeping with this woman, she's the mother of your children, and you're withholding. What is that about?
It became a situation where I didn't trust her anymore.
Mm-hmm. So when did you stop trusting the brothers in Boyz II Men?
I stopped trusting the brothers when I was about 29. I went through a depression, and it just started to separate me more. Like, I still love them as brothers, but I didn't confide in them.
Well, you didn't confide in your wife.
Right.
So maybe it wasn't about the brothers and Boyz II Men. Maybe it was about what you were making up in your own head. Did they know you had MS?
They knew I had extreme scoliosis and things of that. They didn't know it was MS. They knew I had all the symptoms of MS still, but they didn't know MS.
Why not?
Giving it
when you were
label,
diagnosed?
Because giving it a label wouldn't have changed the symptoms. I was going through pain. I'm talking about doctors on the road, neurologists on the road, just to be on stage with them. It's like, nah, you're the one that's sick. We're not sick. We still going on the road.
You needed time, rest, healing. You didn't ask for it.
It's still the same.
Michael.
I was going through the same daily. And I didn't want them to know.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, I didn't want anybody to know I had MS.
In a loving relationship where you expect to be honored and valued, you withheld information.
Definitely.
That's a secret, silent agreement, a lie that diminishes your integrity and your character. I'm not going to tell you my truth. I'm not going to be authentic with you. I'm not going to take care of myself. I'm not going to allow myself to be supported and cared for. I'm not going to